Yesterday, at&t was cleared to purchase Time Warner, which technically makes at&t my new boss. So, I just want to say two things. First, this news will in no way affect the content of my program. And two, T-Mobile sucks balls. Sucks balls.
So this deal is a massive $86 billion deal between at&t, which is the second largest wireless carrier in the country, as well as the owner of DirecTV. They're buying Time Warner, which is a massive media company in its own right, which is the owner of HBO, TNT, CNN, and the Warner Brothers movie studio. This deal is absolutely groundbreaking because it has two companies that are historic, but also because those companies have roots throughout the media world and connections to everyday customers. Time Warner makes Game of Thrones, Time Warner makes Harry Potter, makes Batman movies, it makes CNN. So there's all of these brands that people know, this content that people know, being paired with this company that everyone or many people use in at&t. Prices are going to be fascinating to watch with this deal. Prices generally go up when you have consolidation. However, in this case, at&t announced that they are releasing a new product, a DirecTV streaming service that you can actually subscribe to as TV over the web for $35 a month. So potentially, if they can combine the content of Time Warner with that plan, they could lower prices. Politicians on both sides of the aisles are actually criticizing this deal. You have Donald Trump who's criticizing it. You have Vice presidential candidate Tim Kaine is criticizing it. Politicians all over are worried about what the lack of competition and more monopoly control over the media will have. However, there are also people on the business side who are worried about this deal. Time Warner was involved in one of the biggest deals ever when they were bought by AOL in 2000, and that deal went horribly. So people are wondering, is this deal going to work out any better than the last time? The future of media is a fascinating thing to watch right now because companies like Netflix have pioneered a new model. Streaming video especially is the future of TV. Companies like Netflix, companies like Amazon, companies like Hulu, they have figured out this model. Companies like at&t and Time Warner are still figuring it out. Time Warner has HBO Now, which is a way to get HBO to more customers. But they're still in the early stages of this, whereas Netflix is way ahead. So can at&t and Time Warner combine their resources into something that helps them fight this battle? We'll have to find out.
Yo, 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 yo. What's going on, everybody? So check this out real quick. This is Go Deep. This is Go Deep episode 42. This is a kind of impromptu Go Deep, but it's a Go Deep that is much needed because I've recently found out that we need some not new information. We need some information. But that's what I'm here for. Go Deep episode 42. Let's get in some music real quick though. You know how we do. Get your mind right. Go Deep episode 42. Be right back.
For you to even touch my skill, You gotta go to one killer bee, and he ain't a kill now. Chop that down, pass around. Lyrics get hard, put cement to the ground. For an EMC, 50-52 states. That's like psycho killer, Norman Bates. My producer slam, my flow was like bam. Jump on stage, I did that. Ooh, baby, I like it raw. Yeah, baby, I like it raw. Ooh, baby, I like it raw. Yeah, baby, I like it raw. Baby, I like it raw. Yeah, baby, I like it raw. Ooh, baby, I like it raw. Yeah, baby, I like it raw. House, they got issues, keep me feeling it. Slaying on rounds, niggas and we fall, they turn round, what's happening? Shimmy y'all, shimmy yeah. Give me the mic so I can take it away. Or for an absolute charge, voyage. Yeah, from the home of the Dodgers, Brooklyn. Chain killer, hubby's on the swarm. Rain on your colors, that's just so dumb. Well, you didn't even touch my skill. You gotta go to one killer bee, and he ain't overkill now. Drop that down, pass all around. Lyrics get hard, quick cement to the ground. For any MC and any 52 states, that's like psycho killer, Norman Bates. My producer slam, I was like bam, jump on stage and then I did that.
All right. I hope y'all like that shit. Of course you know who that is. That is the old dirty bastard from the Wu-Tang Clan. Chopped and screwed to go deep perfection. Alright, now that I, kicked your mama out my apartment, got me a little bit of free time, I get to talk like I want to talk. Your mom's gone, so now I'm home alone. So, check this out. So, sometimes God will put you through certain things to let you see some things that you might not have seen without those certain situations, right? Sometimes certain situations show you what needs to happen forward. Like you've already been thinking it, but sometimes certain situations might show you exactly what needs to be done. So check this out. So we're gonna get in, and when I start this, I ain't gonna talk too much because I see now I have a lot of information to share with you guys. I see now there's a lot we gotta go back to school with you guys, a few of you guys. I see that now, but that's what I'm here for, guys, because it's just all love, guys. But yeah, check this out. So we got into it. I always talk about the Spartans room, the conversations and shit we have in these Spartans rooms. So check this out. And I'm not gonna get too deep on this situation because, it was a private conversation, but I can't talk about it. So check this out. We got into a conversation where Spartans, we always trying to figure out what to do next, plan campaigns, shit like that. They're always, that's why I like them. They're always trying to work towards something. And that's what I like. So, I guess I'm looking at the best ways to say these things. I guess I'm thinking about as we go along on this show. But since I have music, the piano, Chopin playing in the background, it'll give me some time to just, get your mind right while I put my words together. So we just all throw out ideas of, what we should do, how we should maneuver, blah, blah, blah. So I threw out, we should we should Twitter bomb Trump, right? Donald Trump. Because he's on Twitter. He's the biggest name in the world. He's the most polarizing person in the world. But on top of that, Donald Trump is the reason that the Snyder Cut even exists. But what the reaction that I got from some of the Spartans, not all of them, some of the Spartans, the reaction that I got was so out of this world that I end up, after I put it all together, and I talked to a few Spartans one-on-one, I would say this, my homie, the reason I'm doing this podcast, my homie Rob, he's like, I think Rob started the Spartans, Rob Carlin. Rob hit me up. Rob was like, I didn't know all the shit that you were saying. He was like, I didn't know all of this shit happened. He was like, make a show about it, because I don't think a lot of people know what happened in this situation. Rob hit me up. He told me to do that, so I'm gonna make the show. But he was right. A lot of people don't know really what happened. And when I said let's Twitter bomb Trump, it was such a negative reaction. Like I was saying, hey guys, let's go fucking Photoshop a picture of Zack Snyder with his hand around Trump. No, I didn't say that. I'm not saying, guys, let's fucking be Trump supporters and Republicans. But if you don't know that Trump is so instrumental in the Snyder Cut movement, then let me explain. So, 2 years ago, it's 3 years ago now. It's 2019 right now. So in 2016, when Trump was running for president, he said one of his first things he's gonna do if he wins president is block the at&t merger. What does that mean? Why does it matter that he would want to block the at&t merger? Okay? at&t was buying Time Warner. Time Warner owned Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers was making movies at the time. Movies directed by Zack Snyder at the time. Is a light bulb coming on some people's brains right now? So, when Donald Trump said, hey, we're gonna block the merger if we win president, that means potentially if at&t would not be able to buy Warner Brothers, Time Warner, then someone else would have bought them. Someone else, most probably Disney. Disney was buying up everybody at the time. Comcast was bidding up for everybody at the time. Because guys, we are in the future right now. We are in the future. And what I mean by we're in the future, new technologies are coming out where cell phone providers are now taking over the Hollywood movie industry. Why? Because you don't need a set in Hollywood anymore, or you don't need these middlemen when you can shoot directly to your cell phone. You can watch a movie directly to your cell phone from Netflix without a DVD case, without anything. Just straight up watch a movie anywhere you're at, whether you're driving in your car, whether you're on an airplane, whether you're anywhere in the world, you can watch a movie or content streaming through your cell phone, which is changing the game. It's changing the world. So, 5G technology is coming out. At the same time, Zack Snyder is making movies. All right? So, At that time, it's like a bidding war. It's a bidding war with not really with at&t and Time Warner, because they were kind of leading the pack in all of this. In this new acquisition of content. at&t offered $85 billion to Time Warner. And they were gonna get everything from HBO, DCEU, CNN, blah, 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 blah. We all know. So Donald Trump didn't like CNN. So Donald Trump was saying CNN was fake news and changing the people's minds on the planet against him. So Donald Trump said, we won't fight you that much, but we need a provision you drop CNN. That was a provision in the deal because at&t hardly didn't have any provisions. That's what made it go through so good. So then they kind of put up a fight, but while Zack Snyder was making a movie called The Justice League, the Justice Department was suing at&t. Did you hear what I just said? While Zack Snyder was making The Justice League, the Justice Department of the United States was suing at&t to block the merger deal. So now if you block the merger deal, what happens? You have a movie with a $250 million budget, and somebody might be buying or might not be buying that property. Is a light bulb going off? Let me continue. So Donald Trump, that was the provision. The Justice Department sued at&t to drop CNN because of Donald Trump accusing it of fake news. So now that forced Warner Brothers, so to speak, Warner Brothers kind of got nervous. And I'm not a scooper. I don't know anything. I just watch the fucking news, and you can put it together. Warner Brothers got nervous and was telling Zack Snyder to rush the movie, finish it, hurry up, finish it. Why? Why do they need him to hurry up and finish it? Because they needed it to be done for them to make a bonus before the merger either happened or didn't happen. Because if it happens, that means at&t was gonna own these intellectual properties, right? If the merger didn't happen, that means they were gonna get sold off to somebody, whoever had the money to afford them, and which would probably be Disney. So either way, Zack Snyder's movies, they were gonna change ownership's hands either way very soon. I'm not gonna say Zack Snyder's movie, but he was the one directing at the time of this happening. So, obviously you can tell Zack Snyder did not want to keep cutting his movie shorter and shorter and shorter and rushing it so he can make this November release. Why couldn't make the November release? Because he had a situation in his family. He had a death in the family. So instead of them waiting on him to return, they needed to finish this movie and put it out so they can get a bonus before the merger happened or didn't happen. That's what happened. But they didn't have the footage because Zack Snyder took it when he left. So then they had to just reshoot every fucking thing. That's why Homeboy has a mustache mouth. That's why Henry Cavill's mouth looked like that. That's why they put it out. Because they didn't have anything to release a movie by. Josh Whedon put together a piece of shit movie so they can have a bonus to release before the merger. While a presidential election has happened, while the presidential candidate is saying, I'm going to block this merger. Do you see what's going on? So Trump is so tied into the Snyder Cut movement. He's like dark side of the Snyder Cut movement, right? So when I'm telling y'all we need to tweet this man, We need to tweet bomb him. Imagine 1,000 perfectly worded tweets to the man who started this movement unknowingly. He didn't know anything about what's going on with Justice League. He didn't know anything about Zack Snyder. He just didn't like CNN. But Zack Snyder was a bystander in this situation. You know, he got hit with a stray, just like we got hit with a stray because we ride with Zack Snyder. Right. So now we're out pumping, yo, release the Snyder Cut, release the Snyder Cut, release the Snyder Cut. This is what we're saying. This is what we're saying. But we're not even talking to the right people. We're begging Warner Brothers, but one, we don't even think Warner Brothers has the movie. Two, Warner Brothers are not the owners of this intellectual property now. All of this shit went over a lot of you guys' heads. AT&T has always been the people who we needed to be talking to because streaming was taking over Hollywood. We didn't need to be talking to the Hollywood studios. We needed to be talking to the streaming providers from day one. Now, I was on Vero forever. Not forever. I was on Vero for maybe about a year or less. I used to try to, comment on Zack Snyder's pictures, all of this stuff because I kind of understood Zack Snyder. I understood his mindset a little bit. But that's what I was on Vero for, pretty much. I was on Vero for Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder started following me the same day that I posted an AT&T video. I told these guys, I said, listen, guys, this is the people who we need to be focused on. That very same day is when Zack Snyder started following me. So now AT&T is trying to catch up to Netflix. Where the hell did Zack Snyder just go to? Netflix. Where did David Ayer go to? Netflix. Why? Because they have massive amounts of content and they're looking to buy massive amounts of content and they can stream massive amounts of content to a massive amount of people through a cell phone. All Zack Snyder needed was his own studio. Oh my God, what did he do? He just built his own studio. Oh my God, what is he gonna do? I'm pretty sure he's gonna sell to streaming providers. Oh my God, who could buy the Snyder Cut? AT&T. Oh my God, do they have a streaming service? Yes, they do. Has it been released worldwide yet? No, it hasn't. What would be the perfect movie to release it worldwide with? The Snyder Cut. Where would you see Zack Snyder's next movie? A streaming service. Guys, put it together. Just, we can tweet Trump, guys. And what I looked at also, and I love all these dudes, man. I love all these people. But a lot of times people aren't they're not from America, a few of these guys, right? So from the outside looking in, Trump might look like he's fucking Saddam Hussein. But from the inside, I'm in America. He's not Saddam Hussein, y'all. He's not a vicious tyrant. He's not, and I'm okay with saying this. I don't care that I have a Hollywood podcast, blah, blah, blah. But I don't bend to SJWs. And I'm not afraid to say what I want to say. Trump probably is a lot of things, but it's not like we're not allowed to tweet him. That's how shit gets done in America. Kim Kardashian, a girl, reached out to Donald Trump and went and got prison reform passed in the country. A girl did that. Prison reform. They're letting nonviolent offenders out of prison because our previous administrations locked a bunch of people up in America for no reasons. Kim Kardashian brought that to the table of Donald Trump. A girl did that, and she's probably a Democrat. But she was not afraid to do what she had to do to get what she wanted done. That doesn't mean she's a Republican now. That doesn't mean she's a Trump supporter. That doesn't mean she wants to say MAGA. That just means she knows the way America works and she knows what she has to do to get what she has to get done. That's what Spartans are. So after I talked to Rob yesterday, I talked to Mr. Washington. I got love for both of them. Both of them was my homies, especially Mr. Washington. He's in Atlanta, close to me. I'm in South Carolina. So we're kind of like a similar breed. But I felt them, and it wasn't because, see, there's more to this shit. And I'm going to get on it now a little bit because I want the Spartans to know this, and I want the Spartans to know that I knew this. There's more to this shit. I want you guys to be wary of who you let inside of your group. Because when you're marching and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and you're fucking on your path, trust me, there's people who's gonna try to steer you off your path to have you doing something stupid that doesn't make any fucking sense. Okay? Watch who you fuck with. You always gotta do that. Do not think the war between, Jeff Johns and Zack Snyder and all these guys is over. There's been some big ass battles. A lot of the battles are over, but do not think that there's not people around us right now that wishes to prevent Zack Snyder from putting egg on their boy's face. Do not think that shit is over. Watch these people telling you to boycott DCEU movies. Why would you want to boycott DCEU movies? You lower the price on them. See, that's how this shit works. That's what this is all about. John Campea, since day one, has been lowering the stock on DC movies. If John Campea lowers the stock on DC movies, why would he do that? Because it helps somebody to acquire them for cheap. If their value is down, if he talks shit about them for a whole year, that means he was helping Disney potentially buy these properties for cheap. Justice League lost a lot of money. Its value was down. That's what they were doing. That's what they were doing with Venom also. They talked shit about it because they didn't want it to make a lot of money, so it will be easier for Sony to sell it to Disney for cheap. Luckily, people figuring this shit out, it made a lot of money, so now Sony can hold on to its property. You have to understand how this shit works. This is media. Media has always been intelligence, and if there's intelligence, there's always counterintelligence. Always. This is not no podcasting shit. This is media. Spartans and all of my homies, all of my friends who's not a Spartan, we have to be the toughest in this whole industry. We done took too many losses. We got to be the toughest in this whole industry. Period. Now I'm out this bitch because I'm going to put more videos in this shit to teach people how to not have bitch assness surrounding them. That's the whole point. Remove the bitch assness out of your life. Take 2 of these nuts and call me in the morning. Yeah, bitch.
at&t's acquisition of CNN's former parent company, Time Warner, is now complete after a federal judge approved the mega merger. The new name for the media company that owns CNN is Warner Media. And joining us now is John Stankey. He's the new CEO of Warner Media. He's our new boss. And this is his first television interview since the merger. Also joining us is Brian Stelter, CNN's senior media correspondent. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Can we get you any coffee? Your dry cleaning,
anything
perhaps?
we can do
And John and I are here to serve.
Let's not push it, okay?
So, what a long, strange trip it has been for you to be sitting here today. Was it much more complicated than you ever thought when this was first proposed?
That may be an understatement. I think it was a trip like no other. And I'm really glad it's behind us. And we've closed it out. It's time to move forward, and really anxious to do that now.
So why was it worth it? You know, given how hard it was, what is it about us writ large that was so attractive to at&t?
Well, first of all, it's an incredibly talented company across a lot of different media domains. And we felt it was really important that we have scale and capability to work on content from a variety of different segments. And so, just like sitting here, news is very unique from what you might get in scripted long form, but both are very important in terms of how individuals want to consume content. For us over time, the days of being able to get people just to buy connectivity from you are coming to a close, because connectivity is becoming very ubiquitous and very similar, and you're going to have to find ways to differentiate your business over time. And there's no better way to do it than with emotional content that customers attach to.
What are you focused on, Brian?
Well, you said to me the other day, CNN has a special social responsibility compared to, TNT or TBS or the Cartoon Network. And I think what I hear from staffers here, they wonder, well, what happens when CNN's Jim Acosta the other day is told by the campaign manager of the Trump campaign, you should have your credentials revoked? What happens in that environment when it's not Time Warner, it's Warner Media?
First of all, Jeff's got to continue to do what he does, which is run this organization.
Jeff Zucker, the CNN president.
Incredibly well, and that first and foremost will continue. And as you know, he's here with us for the ride going forward, and I'm really pleased and excited about that. He's a very talented individual, and that will obviously be our first driver. But secondly, as I said to you last week, we clearly understand that there's a different obligation and responsibility in running a news organization like this, and we understand that it's a two-way street, that individuals like yourself work very hard to ensure that you're picking up factual and accurate information. And our job as owning this asset and managing it with you is to make sure we back you up in that regard when you're doing your jobs well. And we're committed to doing that.
You know it's a heck of a time to be jumping into the news business right now.
It's no different than the fact that this was a unique approval process, right?
Well, are they disconnected? I have to say. I mean, are they disconnected given the history here of what the president has said about the merger and about CNN in the past going forward? Obviously, we cover the Trump administration very closely, and it creates a lot of complications.
Look, I think everything in industry right now is probably more complex and more difficult than it's ever been. And I think if you were sitting over at Facebook today and asking about what it's like to run their business, the transparency dynamic that any company has to run under, and the volatility that it brings into decision making, that's just part of industry today. And I don't think it's unique to our circumstances. I think it's just broad scale across the economy right now.
So for all of our viewers who are watching, they want to know what this means for them. Are their costs going up? What else? How will this affect them?
Contrary to what the government alleged, no. Our goal here is actually to innovate on product. And, for me personally, why I'm excited to be here, I've always been happiest in my career when I get to build things and do unique things and do things that are different. And our goal here is to invest in this business, and our goal is to do it in a way that provides for platforms and capabilities that are consistent with where technology is taking things. And, a classic example might be here at CNN. How can we broaden the distribution of the great content you guys build every day? How can we make it more readily available in the pushed lifestyle that everybody leads? And I think there's some very exciting things to do in that regard. So it's about innovating. It's about building new product. It's about investing heavier in content. It's certainly not about going out and just trying to think about we want to raise prices on content for what other people buy.
I think that's interesting because there's been some concern in the cable industry that we're in a period of decline or shrinkage as opposed to growth and investment. And you're saying at places like HBO, there's more money that should be spent.
Well, look, I think that the model as we know it today, standard linear television is a very mature model. Standard linear television in the form of how ads are supported in it. But there's an opportunity to innovate in that regard, not only with how the content's configured, but to think about how advertising supports that content. And that's why we established the advertising entity within at&t that's being led by Brian Lesser. The purpose of that is to start building the new ad formats and the more targeted advertising that can lower ad loads and still monetize content in a way where it remains affordable for the customer. So that's the kind of innovation we're going to be working on.
So fewer ads, but more valuable ads. But when I hear you say that, I think, wait, what about Samantha Bee? Right, a few weeks ago, advertisers start calling up because she offended a lot of people with her comments about Ivanka Trump. What do you do when that happens?
Well, look, those moments are going to come up, and I wasn't here at the making at that point in time when that one occurred. I've had conversations with folks, and I have at least a high-level view of what took place. And I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you that every time something like that was coming up, there wasn't a conversation inside of at&t. You know, what would you do?
Yeah, what would you do? Yeah.
I would tell you that based on my understanding, again, I wasn't there with every detail of it, but process that I think was executed in that regard and the outcome from it tracked very similar with my point of view and probably what I personally would have done. You know, at the end of the day, our job is to kind of make reasonable judgments, work through these things, get the facts. I think what is true is we're in a very transparent time. The speed at which you need to do that is changing pretty dramatically. It's going to have to be much faster than it has historically been. And that's going to be one of the challenges.
Look at Roseanne the other week, yeah.
A good example, right?
So HBO, obviously, as much as we like to think it's all about us, I mean, HBO is a giant part of this. And what you want to do with HBO is, I think, something that a lot of consumers, a lot of viewers would like to know. Brian mentioned maybe more of an investment there in content. Is the idea to make HBO more Netflixy, for lack of a better word?
So HBO is a fabulous brand, and they've carved out a great position in the marketplace. And we candidly believe, as we started this process, that with the right kind of investment, the right kind of technology platforms, that it can do more. It can garner more engagement from a customer. They do a great job with what they have today. And I think if you went and spoke with most of the folks at HBO, if they had an opportunity to invest in more content, they believe they can get more hours of the week of customer engagement. And that's really the battle we're all fighting, is how many hours a week are we getting engagement from customers? And we do believe that positioning the asset in a different fashion, that we can start to drive that engagement up. And it's going to be a combination of product and content that enables that to happen. And that's clearly a place we're going to be spending some time.
I think you should bring back The Sopranos and Sex and the City. Have you considered that?
My job is to stay out of the content decisions and facilitate capital allocation.
All
but
right,
I'll pass it
Wait,
on.
you don't want to be hanging out in the writer's room? You don't want to be pitching your own shows?
Well, I'm going to watch, but I'm certainly not going to get involved in the decision.
Ever take The Wire?
You like that?
The Wire.
All right, I'll talk to Richard Plepler about all of that. Brian, what are you keeping your eye on? How will
Well, we've
this
talked
change
about
all of us?
HBO and Turner, CNN. What about Warner Brothers? You're also buying a huge movie studio, all of these television shows. What is the future of a big studio like Warner Brothers?
So I think as things evolve over the next 5 years, one of the things that many companies are going to want to do is be able to more directly control their intellectual property. And if you can control your intellectual property, then you have the flexibility as to how you move it around your technology platforms. And this becomes even more important if you start thinking about the global dynamics of this industry and how it's going to evolve over time. So we're picking up an incredibly talented group of individuals that know how to make content, both in a variety of long-form cinematic and scripted short form. And that becomes an engine, and it becomes an engine to have more intellectual property that allows you to drive people into your technology platforms and get that engagement I talked about earlier. So continuing to use that skill set, continuing to manufacture intellectual property that you can own, control, and library over time, I think that's the flexibility of kind of what's driving the vertical integration in this industry.
And it's interesting to hear, bottom line is the goal is more hours per week, right? All these big media companies, they want more time with more consumers.
If you think about the battle we're in right now, it's a battle for customer engagement. Physics isn't going to change the number of hours in the day, unfortunately. Technology will enable some instances where people maybe can spend more time consuming, as we see people spending less time behind a wheel, maybe in autonomous vehicles, more time in the backseat of a car, 5G networks that enable ubiquitous distribution of video no matter where you are. I think there's going to be an opportunity for more consumption of content within the context of that 24-hour day. Our job is to figure out how to get our fair share of it.
Is Allison safe?
Allison's safe. You're all safe.
That's all I wanted to know.
Thank
I was just, thank you
so
very much
much.
for that. John, thank
Great
you.
to have you here, and
good
it's
to
an
be here.
exciting time.
I'm very excited to be with all of you.